Okay, this problem is asking us to factor completely, so we need to write it as a product of factor. So the first thing you have to do when you're factoring something is to check to see if you have a factor that you can factor out, like a greatest common factor. So here we have n squared and 64, so they don't have anything in common. The next thing you want to see is if you can factor this binomial using one of the special rules. So because this is a binomial and you have a minus sign, you want to see if you can write it as a product of two numbers. Remember, this one's a plus b and then a minus b. If you multiply this out, you get a squared minus b squared. So if you can write it in this format, then the answer is going to be this part. So I'm going to set up my parentheses, and then I'm going to ask myself, can I think of a letter that if I multiply it times itself is going to give me n squared? Well, n times n is going to give me n squared. And then 8 times 8 is going to give me 64. So because I can write it in this format, the answer to this binomial is going to be n plus 8 n minus 8. So you take the n here and you put it here and here, and then you take the 8 and you put it here and here, and then you always have 1 plus and 1 minus. So if I were to do the FOIL method or the box method, you can see that n times n is n squared. Let me write it down here. N times n is n squared. N times a negative 8 is a negative 8n. 8 times n is a positive 8n. And then 8 times a negative 8 is a negative 64. And you can see this middle term cancels out. So your answer would be n squared minus 64. So when you have a binomial and you have a minus sign, you want to see if these terms are perfect squares, because if they are, then you can factor using the difference of squares formula.